from the current legal battles to all the Empire lawsuits you haven't heard about. Today we look at Jussie Smollett and the Empire's cast's darkest secrets. Number 14. Empire. For those who aren't huge fans of Empire, we're going to talk a little about the show before we get into the dark secrets involving cast members and creators.
The series debuted on Fox in January 2015. It's set in the Big Apple, but filming takes place in Chicago.
Empire revolves around a man named Luscious Lyon, played by Terrence Howard, who used to deal in illegal substances and is an executive in the hip-hop industry. Lyon has to choose a successor to run his company, called Empire Entertainment, after he finds out that he's facing a fatal illness. While he's preparing one of his sons to assume his role as CEO, Lyon turns the three of them against each other. Plus, Lucious's wife, who had just served a 17-year-long sentence in prison, attempts to take control of their sons and Empire Entertainment. The show was created by Danny Strong and Lee Daniels, the latter of which produced films including Precious, The Paperboy, and Monsters Ball. Some of the stars in Empire are Terrence Howard, Taraji P. Henson, Brasher Y. Gray, Jussie Smollett, and Trey and Grace Byers. So far, critics have given the series mostly positive reviews, and its first season has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. The second season went up an additional 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. Plus, Empire has won several awards so far, including a couple of BET Awards and Teen Choice Awards. Number 13. Jussie Smollett. Just about everyone has heard about the alleged incident involving Jussie Smollett, who played Jamal Lyon on Empire. He came out as gay in a March 2015 interview with Ellen DeGeneres. Smollett has been acting since 1991 in films like The Mighty Ducks and North. However, he gained most of his fame after joining the Empire cast. But this actor ended up getting kicked off the show after his recent falsehoods and legal problems. On January 22, 2019, Smollett received a letter that threatened his life and contained homophobic slurs. MAGA was written on the envelope in reference to President Donald Trump's famous slogan, "Make America Great Again." About a week later, the actor claimed that he was jumped by two men who proceeded to make derogatory remarks about him, poured some type of chemical on him, and tied a noose around his neck. He also said that the men shouted, "This is MAGA country," while doing so. The police opened an investigation at the end of January, and people began questioning whether or not the event actually happened. But Smollett said he'd been truthful. After looking through the phone records Jussie gave them around mid-February, the police noted that they were heavily revised or edited. Number 12. Fake news. After the investigation continued, Smollett went on Good Morning America for his first television interview after the alleged incident.
He began tearing up and defended himself against people's claims that he was lying. Jussie even noted that he wasn't going to report the event initially because he wanted to maintain his pride.
Around the same time, the Chicago PD said that the media's claims about the entire thing being fake weren't confirmed, and there was no available evidence that it was set up. However, after the police questioned two people of interest, they released the men and said that they needed to complete more investigative work. On February 16, 2019, a source informed CBS that the two men who were questioned told the detective that Jussie had paid them to beat him up. They further noted that the rope around the actor's neck had been purchased at a hardware store in the area. A couple of days later, they made a public statement reiterating that they weren't homophobic, racist, or anti-Trump. Number 11. Surveillance. On February 20th, 2019, surveillance footage came out on CBS that proved the men had purchased ski masks and a red hat one day prior to the incident. The next day, Smollett turned himself into the police, and a $100,000 bail was set. People everywhere were aghast at the news that Smollett set up the incident to help his career, but he continued to claim that he was innocent. However, he was charged with 16 separate felony charges, and was charged with one felony for disorderly conduct for filing a false police report. Number 10. Terrence Howard. Another Empire star, Terrence Howard, has had a lot to say about the Jussie incident as well. But Terrence himself has dealt with various legal problems throughout his career. Women accused him of domestic violence on several occasions. In 2009, he was accused of hitting his ex-wife twice in the face after making threats, stalking her, and breaking into her home. He admitted to being physically aggressive with her in 2015. In 2011, Howard's other ex-wife was granted a restraining order after telling the judge that Howard caused her physical harm that forced her to go to the hospital. She got a second restraining order 2 years later, after he gave her a black eye. Despite Howard's shady past, he apparently questioned his co-star's claims after the news about Smollett was reported. A source told TMZ that Howard was very upset after it came out and didn't believe Jussie from the beginning. The source added that Terrence questioned Smollett several times when holes in his story came to light. However, Terrence later defended the actor, stating that his friends have his back. He even said that he referred to Smollett as his son for 5 years.
Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and now back to the video.
Number 9. Nia Long. Somebody else from Empire that doesn't have the best reputation is Nia Long. This actress is known for various things like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Boys in the Hood, Big Mama's House, and Are We There Yet? But her alleged diva attitude got her in trouble while she was on the set of Empire's 3rd season. TMZ reported that the makeup and hairstylist for the show had to officially file a complaint against Long. However, it wasn't only the stylist that had issues with the actress. The production people and the cast said she was unprofessional and disrespectful throughout her time on the series. TMZ's sources also claimed that she was continually late and rude. But Long's representative said she is always professional and is friends with her co-stars. Number 8. Long and Henson. Apparently, Nia didn't get along with her co-star Taraji P. Henson either. These two reportedly had beef on set, and they remained silent about it for a long time. However, Nia denied the rumors. She said she loved Taraji and called her an amazing actress, according to a BET article. But other reports suggest it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies between these two celebs. E! News noted that the two women wanted to be in the spotlight and were at each other's throats while shooting. They further stated that the tensions were so high that producers wanted to film their shared scenes at different times. Nevertheless, Nia and her representative continued to deny all the rumors. Number 7. On-set love.
Despite all the negativity revolving around the Empire cast, 2 of the stars found love on set. Grace Geely and Trey Byers began dating while they were filming the show.
They were cautious about getting involved at first because work relationships can end badly, especially if you're stuck together for several more seasons. However, they fell in love and became engaged in 2015. They tied the knot about a year later on Grand Cayman Island. Grace took to Instagram after their wedding to thank their fans for wishing them well. So far, these two are living happily ever after. Number 6. Terrence's divorce. We briefly talked about Terrence's ex-wives, one of which is Mira Pak, a restaurateur and model he married in 2013. They had 2 sons together, Qirin Love and Hero. However, they called it quits in 2015. Despite their divorce and Howard's violent tendencies, these two sparked up their romance again in 2018. A source told Us Weekly that they're happier and closer than ever. Howard and Pak decided to get engaged once more in December 2018 and are planning to remarry. Number 5. Henson. Terrence Howard and Taraji Henson's relationship spans far beyond their on-screen chemistry in Empire. These two have been friends for many years, and people began questioning why they never started a romantic relationship in real life. As we previously mentioned, Howard is back with his ex-wife, Mira Pak, and Henson is engaged to Kelvin Hayden, a former player for the NFL.
She plays Cookie Lyon, Luscious' wife on the show. They feel like they're family in real life.
Howard said that they're more like brother and sister or father and daughter, and they've never been romantically involved. Plus, he said Henson was never interested in taking their relationship farther. However, she knew that he was perfect for the role of Luscious after reading the script. Number 4. SERAYAH McNeil. Amidst all of the drama surrounding Jussie Smollett, his co-star, SERAYAH McNeil had something to say as well. Pretty much all of the cast members have been hounded by the media about the case, and McNeil was even asked questions at the Kids' Choice Awards. She was walking down the orange carpet when a reporter asked her about Smollett's legal situation. She noted that it's a sensitive subject and managed to keep any personal feelings she has one way or the other to herself. McNeil simply stated that she wishes him luck and will pray for him. She further said that she's ecstatic about the upcoming Empire tour. Number 3. Lawsuits. Not only have the stars of Empire faced many legal and personal troubles, but the show's producers have as well.
One woman named Sophia Eggleston said that the role of Cookie Lyon was based on her life. She filed a $300 million lawsuit against Fox and Lee Daniels, one of the creators of the series.
Eggleston noted that they stole her story, which she had written about in her book titled The Hidden Hand. She stated that there are just too many similarities between her and Cookie for it to have been a mere coincidence. However, Sophia wasn't the only person to sue the show. A man named Ron Newt said they gave Terrence Howard a DVD copy of his documentary called Bigger Than Big. He further stated that Empire was stealing his life story, but the judge threw the case out, and Newt didn't receive his $10 million. Fox and the show's co-creators Danny Strong and Lee Daniels were sued once more a few years ago. That time, the author of the book Unity Incorporated, the mastermind, Timothy J. Levi, claimed that he had infringed his copyright by taking a significant amount of material from his book. He added that he had given a copy of his original text to a lawyer named Robert Walker. Levi said that Walker gave a copy of the manuscript to the show's creators before Empire debuted. Considering the similarities between the books and the series' characters and storylines, Levi decided to sue for $1.5 billion in 2016. Number 2. Lee Daniels. It's no surprise that the ordeal surrounding Jussie Smollett and his alleged lies would cause a lot of angst for the creators of Empire. Lee Daniels spoke out about the incident in March 2019. He said that the past few weeks have been really difficult and full of ups and downs. He also stated that he's been dealing with a lot of different emotions concerning Smollett.
Daniels noted that he and the entire cast of Empire have felt sadness, pain, anger, and frustration and weren't sure how they should handle it.
He added that the point of the series was to help mend the divisions in America and spark discussions about current issues. charges. However, Jussie's incident tore things apart and brought about the wrong type of attention. Originally, the director quickly sided with Smollett because the actor's character in Empire is based on Daniel's life. He is also a gay man of color that relates closely with Jussie on and off screen. But throughout the weeks following the police report Jussie filed, the story kept changing. When he was accused of faking the report and staging the incident, Daniels and the rest of the Empire team had to take action. They decided it was best if Smollett wasn't in the season's last 2 episodes. Number 1. Clean slate. Jussie Smollett's case had an even more significant surprise more recently.
After changing from a victim to a villain, everyone was sure that Smollett would face some serious time in prison, considering his 16 felony charges. However, things took a turn for the better for the actor.
On March 26, 2019, news came out that all of the charges against Jussie had been dropped. He went to court for an emergency hearing that morning. The details of the hearing weren't released. However, after Smollett went to court, his attorneys made a public statement. He noted that his record had been wiped clean of the false charge. They stated further that he had been physically harmed by 2 men that he couldn't identify and that he was wrongly portrayed as the criminal in the situation. In addition to that, they said that many people were hurt by the accusation and that dismissing the charges against Smollett was the only just result.
Today's featured comment comes from Friendly on our Truth About Eminem video. Thanks for your thoughts, Friendly. Don't forget to leave your thoughts below and we might feature you in a future video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.